Ukraine hits Russia's energy heartland. Belgorod goes dark after Ukrainian strike. The Ukrainian Defense Forces launch a missile strike on the Belgorod thermal power plant and the 331 Kilovi Frunzenskaya electrical substation in Russia's Belgorod region. According to the Belgorod Energo website, numerous instances of damage to electrical equipment have been recorded in the area of the village of Streletsky, near the Frunzenskaya substation, as well as in central Belgorod, where the Belgorod thermal power plant was struck. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. Join me in the latest program by Defense Report for the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover a massive strategic shift on the front lines, one that has brought the freezing reality of the war right to the Kremlin's doorstep. It is Friday, February 6, 2026, and I want you to just picture the scene because the reports coming out are absolutely chaotic. It's 11 o'clock at night in Belgorod. The temperature outside is plunging. We're talking minus 24 degrees Celsius.
It's minus 11 Fahrenheit. Brutally cold.
Dangerously, brutally cold. And suddenly, the sky just lights up, explosions rock the city, and then everything goes black. The lights, the heat, the watt, all of it just gone.
It's a terrifying scenario for sure, but if we look at this analytically, what happened in Belgorod isn't just about turning off the lights. This is a pivotal moment in this conflict.
How so?
We're seeing Ukraine achieve what military strategists call kinetic parity. For the first time, really, this grid war. It's not a one-sided affair anymore.
Okay, let's unpack that, because kinetic parity sounds like a very polite way of saying payback. But before we get into the strategy, I want to understand what happened on the ground. We have Telegram channels like S-shaped T and people going crazy, residents posting videos of total darkness. What exactly did Ukraine hit? Because this wasn't a random shell, was it?
No, not at all. This was precision targeting at its most effective.
Yeah.
The main targets were the Belgorod thermal power plant, specifically, a combined heat and power facility, and the Frunzenskaya substation.
Okay, for those of us who aren't electrical engineers, why those two? I mean, a substation sounds important, but is it shut down a whole city important?
Oh, absolutely. Think of the grid like the body's circulatory system. The Frunzenskaya substation, that's a 330-110 kV node. It's like a major artery. It takes that massive high-voltage power from the national lines and steps it down for city distribution.
So you sever that artery, and the whole area just
Dies. The grid collapses locally, yes. But hitting the thermal power plant, that's the real knockout blow. That one plant provides 36% of the heating for Belgorod.
And that's the part that is really terrifying. Even Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov, who usually tries to downplay these things, he sounded pretty rattled.
He did. He confirmed serious damage almost immediately. And now we're seeing the ripple effect. It's not just Belgorod City. We're talking blackouts in Rakitnoy, Borisovka, Graveron.
Yeah.
And here's the critical part. The water pumps have stopped.
Right, of course. No electricity, no water pumps. And without water, there's a bigger problem than just not being able to get a drink, right? For the buildings themselves.
Yeah, exactly. You can't run a district heating system without moving water. So you have a situation where the power is out, the pumps are dead, and the air outside is minus 24. This is where we get into what's called the thermodynamics of infrastructure collapse.
That sounds ominous. Walk me through that.
It's a race against physics, really. In those temperatures, if the water in the heating pipe stops moving for too long, it freezes.
And when water freezes, it expands.
It expands, and it bursts the pipes. Inside walls, under streets, everywhere. It just destroys the entire heating network from the inside out.
So it's not just a matter of turn the power back on and everything's fine.
No. If those pipes burst, the system is fundamentally ruined.
Yeah.
We saw this happen in Kharkiv, where they had to drain 820 buildings just to save them. That's the nightmare scenario officials in Belgorod are facing right now. They have hours, not days, to fix this.
It really feels like the war has come home for them in a way it never has before. But this didn't just happen in a vacuum, did it? I mean, why now?
Well, the weather certainly maximizes the impact, but the timing is deeply strategic. This is a direct, symmetric retaliation.
For what?
Just days ago, February 2nd and 3rd, Russia launched what they called its most powerful attack of 2026 on Ukraine. We're talking 450 drones and over 70 missiles.
I remember that Kyiv and Kharkiv got hit really hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mass heat outages in Kyiv, 200,000 people in the dark in Kharkiv. Russia effectively blew up an informal energy truce that had been requested by the Trump administration to, facilitate talks.
So Ukraine is sending a message.
A crystal clear one. It's called symmetric deterrence. The message is, If Ukrainians are freezing in their homes, then Russian citizens in border cities will face the same cold. It completely removes Russia's ability to use energy as a one-sided weapon at the negotiating table.
Speaking of things that aren't safe, I found a detail about that Belgorod power plant. Something about the turbines?
Ah, yes.
Mhm.
The hardware. This is where it gets really interesting.
It runs on General Electric LM2500 plus DLE gas turbines. Those are American.
Correct. And that is a massive, massive problem for Rossetti, the Russian energy provider.
Yeah.
Because of sanctions, they can't buy spare parts.
Yeah.
They can't call GE for tech support.
So it's like crashing a new Ferrari, but the dealership has been closed for 4 years, and all you have is a wrench.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And Rossetti basically admitted it. They put out a statement saying repairs will happen in stages. That's just bureaucratic code for we don't know how to fix this quickly. This is what we call technical debt.
Technical debt.
Yep. It's the accumulation of all the maintenance they couldn't do, the parts they couldn't get. They've been running these Western machines ragged for years. Now that they've been physically hit, that debt is coming due all at once. You can't just patch a precision American turbine with old Soviet parts.
So it's a compound failure, a double tap, the sanctions and the strike working together.
Exactly.
And while all this is happening, missiles flying, cities freezing, there are people in suits sitting in a warm room in Abu Dhabi.
Yes. The diplomatic track is running parallel to all this. U.S., Ukrainian, and Russian delegations met there on February 4th and 5th.
And that was where this whole energy truce was supposed to be hammered out.
That was the idea. But as we said, Russia used the quiet days before the talks to stockpile for that massive attack. It was a complete violation of trust.
But I saw reports they still got a prisoner swap done.
They did. 314 POWs were exchanged, which is significant. It shows the channels are still open. But in terms of a ceasefire, the Belgorod strikes signal what analysts are calling a rejection of a peace of the week.
A peace of the week. What does that mean for Ukraine's strategy?
It means they're signaling they will not negotiate from a position of desperation. If Ukraine just absorbs these hits and goes to the table begging for a pause, Russia hold all the cards. By striking Belgorod during the talks, they're putting their own leverage on the table. They're saying, we can hurt you too, so let's talk as equals.
It's a high-stakes game. Okay, I want to pivot to the weapons themselves, because there's been a lot of scary talk about a new Russian missile, the Oreshnik.
The Oreshnik, yes.
Yeah.
Russia used it on Lviv recently. It's their new supposed wonder weapon.
And on paper, it sounds terrifying. Hypersonic, multiple warheads.
It is dangerous, no question. It flies at 13,000 kilometers per hour. It carries MIRVs, so one missile can hit multiple targets. And it's a big but. The SBU, Ukraine Security Service, recovered the debris.
And what did they find?
It's not the futuristic superweapon the Kremlin claims it is. The analysis found it's a mix of modern components and, well, outdated legacy tech. It's a bit of a Frankenstein monster of a missile.
So it works, but it's not some unstoppable machine.
Exactly. It seems to rely on a complex supply chain of smuggled modern chips and older Soviet designs to make it all function, which means they probably can't mass produce them easily.
And Ukraine isn't just sitting back and taking it. We have to talk about the Flamingo.
The FP5 Flamingo, a huge success story for Ukraine's domestic defense industry. While everyone was focused on Western aid, they developed this long-range missile themselves.
And they used it to hit Kapustin Yar. That's deep inside Russia, isn't it?
Very deep. Astrakhan region, about 700 kilometers from the front. But the location is what matters. Kapustin Yar is the test range where the Oreshnik is launched from.
Wait, so they didn't just try to shoot down the missile, they struck the launch site.
They struck the source. It's a huge psychological blow. It proves Ukraine can reach out and touch Russia's most strategic assets. It forces Russia to ask, is anywhere really safe?
Wow. That changes things. Okay, so we've got energy wars, diplomacy, missile races,
Yeah.
and there's one more layer here. The digital battlefield. I heard something about Starlink.
This is a major development. For a long time, Russian forces were using smuggled gray market Starlink terminals for their battlefield communications.
Giving them the same advantage Ukraine had.
Exactly. But now, reports in the Ukrainian General Staff say that access has been blocked in the occupied zones. We're hearing words like catastrophe to describe the comms situation for Russian units, especially in Zaporizhia.
So someone finally flipped the switch. How does that work?
It's likely geofencing. The satellites know exactly where every terminal is, so they can basically draw a virtual fence and say, any signal coming from inside this Russian-occupied area, ignore it.
What's the practical effect of that?
Panic, for one. But tactically, their FPV drone coordination has dropped off a cliff. They're trying to switch to other systems like ubiquity radio bridges, but those are line of sight. They're not nearly as flexible or reliable.
So they're effectively flying half blind compared to a week ago.
It severely degrades their real-time targeting. In modern warfare, latency kills. If your drone feed lags, you miss. It completely disrupts their OD loop, their ability to observe, orient, decide, and act quickly.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. We have a symmetric energy war with Belgorod freezing, diplomatic stalemate in Abu Dhabi, a tech race where Ukraine is hitting the source of Russia's threats. And now, Russian comms are going dark on the front lines.
It's a convergence of pressure points. The strategy for 2026 appears to be one of total stress. Stress their grid, stress their logistics, stress their command and control.
And the big question is whether the Russian system can handle that stress, because you can't solve a broken GE turbine with propaganda.
That's the key. The front line is no longer just in the trenches, it's on the power lines. By turning out the lights in Belgorod, Ukraine has fundamentally changed the calculus of this war. The average Russian is starting to feel the physical cost of this invasion.
Which leaves us with a provocative question. If Russia's infrastructure continues to crumble under this technical debt and these precision strikes, will that domestic pressure force the Kremlin to take the negotiations in Abu Dhabi seriously? Or will they just double down?
That is the question that will define the next few months. If the lights stay out in Belgorod, you can be sure the heat is rising in Moscow.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your trusted source for timely, in-depth military and defense analysis. We'll see you next time. Keep supporting us so we can continue bringing you the latest developments from Ukraine and around the world.